Good evening and welcome to the Opioid Abuse and Misuse Prevention for Post-Surgery Patients. Thank you guys for attending. I appreciate all of your time. So I wanted to start out by talking about what an opioid actually is. So an opioid is a narcotic drug that comes from the opium plant. There are natural, synthetic, and semi-synthetic opioids. Natural opioids come from the opioid plant. Synthetic opioids are man-made in a lab, and semi-synthetic opioids are a mixture from naturally occurring opium products. Opioids are prescribed by clinicians as a pain reliever, but can be highly addictive, especially if not used properly. As we know, people use drugs and they don't use them always for the reason they should. So let's dive deeper into this. And let me ask you, let's see, this is stuck here. There we go. What is one reason you believe opioid drug use is a topic of great concern? What do you think?
Because it's addictive.
It's addictive. Yes, ma'am. Anybody else?
If not used properly, it can be a hazard.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's easy. I mean, but you can get it pretty easy via a physician, or you can get it on the streets.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a really cheap, easy drug to obtain
Yes.
at times.
Mhm. Right now in the US, we have a major opioid abuse, misuse, and overdose crisis. So today, this is gonna be a mini lesson, and we'll discuss why opioid drug use causes much concern for users, clinicians, and educators. So what do we know about opioids and the opioid crisis? So the opioid crisis, we know that an estimated 4 to 6% who misuse prescription opioids transition to heroin. That's a lot. And about 80% of people who use heroin first misuse prescription opioids. 80%, so that's 8 in 10 people that are addicted to heroin first started with a prescription of opioids. That says a lot, right?
Yeah.
So what does misuse mean? How are drugs misused? So according to the drugabuse.gov 2020, misuse of prescription drugs mean taking a medication in a manner or dose other than prescribed. So that basically means you're taking someone else's prescription, even if you're taking it for a legitimate pain, that's still a misuse of the medication because it was not prescribed to you. Also, taking the medication to feel euphoria. So basically to get high. That's basically what that means, right? So it's just shocking that 8 out of 10 people who use heroin started with a prescription. That's just scary in itself. So it's just really important to be aware of that. So why should you be concerned? Well, I didn't tell you, but so you probably know that you're here because you're a pre-surgery patient. So you're a pre-surgery patient, and eventually you're going to be a post-surgery patient who may be prescribed opioids. And that's something that can be scary if you're uninformed. So the reason analgesics is what an opioid is, it's an analgesic, and doctors use it because it's so great for pain. It's a really good pain reducer or a pain reliever. And that's basically what an analgesic is. It's a pain reliever. That's a simple definition of it. Opioids block the transmission of pain through the spinal cord and alters the perception of the pain in the pain center of the brain. So basically it blocks the brain from feeling or recognizing the sign of pain. That's what opioids do, and that's why it's so popular and why doctors prescribe it, because it works very well with all levels of pain, high levels, medium levels, and low levels. So that's why it's so popular. Something else we should be concerned about with opioids is that between 8 and 12% of opioid users develop an opioid use disorder. And roughly 21 to 29% of patients prescribed opioids for chronic pain misuse them. So about 30% of people who receive opioids for pain as a pain reliever, you misuse them. And a lot of them end up addicted. Okay. 3 out of 10 people. That's crazy. All right. So more information on why we should be concerned about opioid misuse is opioid misuse and abuse have become a public health crisis with devastating consequences. Every day, 120 people in the United States die after overdosing on opioids. That means 42,720 people in the US who die every year from opioid overdose. That means somebody's mother, brother, sister, friend dies every day from an opioid overdose. That's concerning. And a lot of people don't know that this is going on. So that's really important for you as a person who's going to be going through surgery, coming out of surgery and prescribed medications. You need to know this stuff, okay? Another concern is that the abuse of opioid drugs, including prescription pain relievers, heroin, and synthetic opioids such as fentanyl, and we know that's a very dangerous opioid, is a serious crisis that affects public health and social and economic welfare. Remember, 42,000 people die yearly. So this is not a problem just for the local level, but also for the national level as well. So in this mini lesson, we discussed why opioid drug use causes much concern for users, clinicians, and educators. What is one new reason you learned today about opioid drug use and why it is a great concern? What's one thing additional that you've learned today?
I didn't realize the numbers were that high.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. What about you, Ms. Johnson? Did you learn something new today?
I learned a lot, and I think it's in everyone's backyard, but you don't realize how it might affect me if I were to have a surgery and be prescribed that. I'd probably have a craving long after the pain is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opioid misuse and abuse has taken the lives of many people. I believe as people are informed and awareness is spread about the potential threat of addiction, many lives can be saved because it's all about what you know. Because if you know, then you can make an informed decision. So I want to thank you for attending this mini lecture, Opioid Abuse and Misuse Prevention for Post-Surgery Patients. I hope this has been an enlightening experience, and whether you decide to accept a post-surgery opioid prescription or not, you are armed with knowledge on the seriousness of the medication. This information hopefully will help you heal from surgery without adding a complication of a drug addiction or substance abuse addiction. And I thank you again. Have a wonderful evening and good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.